All right, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. Welcome to our Patreon patrons and YouTube subscribers who are getting this real time. For those of you who aren't doing either of those, or even if you are doing those things, stick it to Amazon, please. It's free. Link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. We have instructions on how to do that in the description for the show below. And you have to renew that every month or so. So if you haven't done it in the last month, please remember, click on the show description, read the instructions, link those two accounts. We get paid. You stick it to Amazon. It costs you nothing.
This episode of Pachter Factor is brought to you by DeShazer Ryan Realty. Right now, Doug DeShazer has beautiful lots available adjacent to Koocanusa Lake in northwest Montana. Pull up your RV and access the hookups, or build your own construction. Either way, you have access to world-class fishing, hunting, boating, swimming, biking, hiking, and the internet. No matter where you're looking to buy, make Doug DeShazer your real estate consultant at 406-291-1643. That's Doug DeShazer at 406-291-1643.
Okay, today's question from Sifted from Zero Kaiser. Since Phil Spencer took over Xbox, it has stopped sharing sales numbers. Even NPD took away data that could help you extrapolate Xbox sales. Isn't this bad for investors and analysts like you? Why is there no accountability? Does no one care about Xbox's financials since Microsoft as a whole is doing well? Okay, first of all, I stopped subscribing to NPD because the data got less and less valuable to me. And over the course of my over 20 years of subscribing to them at an average of, well, six figures, 100,000 a year. I'd say my firm paid them $2 million over 20 years. They actually banned me from using the service, suspended me twice. One of the two times they actually went to our CEO and threatened a lawsuit because I apparently inappropriately used their content. Each time we kissed and made up, but I was suspended for 3 months both times. And each time I found myself, I truly don't believe I did anything wrong, but each time I had to explain to them that the way I used the data, it was old data, I didn't use any current data and whatever. And that one time I had their permission, but they gave me permission and I didn't use it for more than a year, and they suspended me because the contract requires me to ask again for the next year. And I didn't change the data that I was given permission to use. So I just didn't appreciate my relationship with them. I was paying them and they treated me like a criminal. And their version of this will be, I misappropriated their data, which is valuable, and I was paying for it, and that cost them sales to other people. So I am not going to bash them. I get it. That's a reasonable position to take, but they antagonized me. The way they did it, I will not name him, but their general counsel was and he was a dick about it. And as I said, called my CEO and threatened to sue us, which, in a normal company would get you fired. So I just didn't appreciate that they threatened my livelihood over what I consider to be an innocent and intentional, but an innocent misinterpretation of what I was allowed to do. So I used the service for a year or two longer than I needed it because it just became less and less valuable to me. And when I did a Sifted episode and explained why on Pachter Factor it was not valuable, they reached out to me because they want to have a talk and school me on how valuable NPD is. And no, I'm not going to waste any time talking to them. They weren't nice to me when I was paying them. Why do I expect them to be nice to me when I'm not paying them? And by the way, if they are nice to me, because they kiss my butt, I'm going to be nice about how great they are? The service is not worth paying for. It's just not. I'm sorry. If you're a game publisher, yes, it's worth paying for because you get competitive data and it's interesting and you know what your competitors are doing. I find no value in it at all. So, answer to your question, I used to get data that would tell you exactly what Xbox sales were. I just wasn't allowed to publish it. So they protect the data so you can't extrapolate because they don't publish it anymore. Is it bad for investors and analysts like you? Since I consider the data to have low value, and as I said, it costs more than $100,000 for me to renew my subscription, and I don't believe my firm made $100,000 in profit. I'm sorry, in revenue from what I used that data for, since they were so restrictive. No, it's not bad for me. I could care less. In fact, the fewer people who have the real data, the more my opinion matters. My guess is better. And I had a guess on Xbox of 20 million units sold, and now people are saying it's 1/3 of Sony's 50 million, so it's 17. I'm perfectly happy being off by 15% or so. That's fine with me. Why is there no accountability? Because it's a tiny piece of Microsoft's business, and because Microsoft doesn't really make a profit on Xboxes. It makes a profit on software sales. It's still selling a ton of Xbox One software. It's still selling a ton of PC software, and Game Pass is growing. So, and they have a ton of Xbox Live subscribers. So I think that it's really a rounding error at Microsoft. If they sell, 5 million Xboxes or 10 million Xboxes, it just doesn't mean that much. Like an extra million Xboxes at $400 is what? $400 million. For a company that does a couple of $100 billion in revenue, it's nothing. It's tiny. It's a rounding error. So does no one care about Xbox's financials since Microsoft as a whole is doing very well? Yeah, that's an accurate statement. What they care about is that the Xbox division is profitable. And I doubt that it is wildly profitable right now, but I think post the Activision merger it is. The Activision merger added about $8 billion of revenue and about $3 billion of profit. So, yes, I realize they spent $90 billion, whatever it was, to buy Activision, but they were earning, 1% interest on that. So they're earning $900 million and they're making $3 or $4 billion. So they're fine. They're totally fine with that. So they are absolutely profitable. Once they get that Activision content on Game Pass, you're going to see a big upswing in Game Pass subscriptions. And when that happens, they're going to be immensely profitable. So this is not about Xbox. This is about Game Pass. I think they didn't share sales numbers because they don't care. They don't care about educating you, and they don't care about the competition with Sony. You care, but they do not. Doesn't that mean gamers will shy away from Xbox games and they'll never buy an Xbox because it's in second place? I guess, but I mean, seriously, do you not eat at Burger King because it's behind McDonald's in sales? No. If you want a Whopper, that's where you eat. So, no, Microsoft will be fine. The answer is Game Pass. The answer to all questions on this show, always, forever, now, and the future is Game Pass. I think that there's no accountability because nobody cares enough to press it. I think if a big Microsoft shareholder said, I want to know Xbox numbers, they'd release it, but they don't care. The content will always be there. They are all in on Game Pass, which means all those games will be made, and if you don't want to subscribe to Game Pass, you can buy those games one at a time. They'll always be on Xbox. Every game they make will be on Xbox. So whatever you thought of Redfall or Starfield, they're available on Xbox, and they will be. And they also will be available on Game Pass. And so it doesn't matter. Microsoft will always support Xbox. They just are going to support Game Pass as well. There's no risk to you. Microsoft is 10x the size of Sony. Literally 10 times bigger. They're not going to abandon this business. They're all in on this business. So they can afford to lose money being in second place in consoles because they're going to make it up in subscription. The reason I mentioned the 400 million Office 365 subscriptions is think about what that generates for them. 400 million times $100, $40 billion a year. All free money. Literally, it costs them nothing to make that software. They have that cushion to support Xbox forever, and they will. And that 40 billion is probably more than Sony's total revenue, not PlayStation, all of Sony. So honestly, just one product is bigger than all of Sony. And they obviously have enterprise, they have cloud, they have so many other products. So no, don't worry about Microsoft. They're not going anywhere. They're the biggest company in the world, and they're going to stay that way for a long time. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you are a Patreon subscriber, thank you. If you're a YouTube subscriber, thank you. You got this real time. If you are either of those or neither of those, please stick it to Amazon and link your Twitch Prime account to your Amazon Prime account. This is your one chance to stick it to somebody, make them pay for a benefit you get. Take advantage.